In this tutorial for Photoshop, I'm using Photoshop CC220, but you could use 219, 218, etc. Though the patterns are slightly different, only slightly. I'm going to show you how you can use channels with type to create some interesting designs, and brush textures. That's a key thing as well. So brush textures. So first, I need some pattern presets. I've used, in this case, A, B, and C. You can use anything. You maybe use the word car, dog, whatever, or maybe 1, 2, 3. Now I'm just going to go to and create those. Now I've actually just changed something just quickly. This is a slight aside. Go to preferences, Photoshop preferences and type. Because while I've been doing this tutorial, obviously running through it before I actually get to it, this is a feature that really bugs me. Enable type layer glyph alternates. Now this pops up at the inopportune times most of the time, and unfortunately it means you can never seem to type characters when you want to in a tutorial. So I've just disabled that. You might want that as well, but I just thought I'd quickly show you that feature. Like I say, it always, whenever you're typing a character, it always seems to pop up with these alternates, and I don't want them. So 1. So I'm just going to just sort of show you can remove them if you've got that and suddenly these keep popping up and all you want to do is change the type. So this is 1 here. Now what I want is a hollow one. So layer and a layer style and go down to stroke. Now I've added a stroke and it's going to be 40. It doesn't have to be 40, it could be 20, you can make a very thin stroke. Go in 40 using outside, normal, etc. And I'm using colour, but you could use a gradient or a pattern as well. Now to actually make it hollow or see-through, what you can do, blending options, and then go to fill opacity. Set that to 0. Click OK. So now you've got your design. Now what I want to do is define it as a pattern. So edit and define pattern. Now what I want to do is I want to change that. And I'm using Myriad Pro. You could change the font at this point. Don't have to use that. You could use Arial, whatever. Maybe change the size, maybe make it italic, up to you. You don't have to go with 1, of course. You go with 27, 35, whatever. So now I say that's why I removed that alternate option in the preferences, because before I was getting the point where every time I come up to 1, it would pop up and try and suggest a different type of 1. I didn't want that, I want 2. So got 2 now. Now what I can do, edit and define pattern. It's only taken me a couple of years to actually get to realising there was a preference to block that feature that always bugged me. So you got that. And also then, of course, with that, I'm going to go with 3 and then define pattern. And I'm going to only go that far. Now, at some point, I'm just going to quickly check because quite often I go and find that I haven't done it as well as I think I have. 1, 2, and 3. It's always best to go and check just to run through it because you might have saved it as a brush. I quite often define it as a brush, think, why isn't it in the patterns? That's weird. However, I do it without sort of. So now I go back to this image. Now, obviously, I'm not going to use that image. I've created that earlier. And this uses channels. You can see there's a variety of different panels across here that you can find all via here. So you've got channels, you've got patterns, you've got, I'm going to use swatches. That's great for colours if you want to change colours, and obviously brushes, etc. Now for the brushes, I'm just using, I started start point, a soft round. Just use a general brush. You don't have to. You could use any of the other brushes. So you could create loads of complex brushes. But this is just using the soft round one. Key panel here, window and brush settings. So you've got all the other panels there. And of course you could also, if you wish, create all these designs. You could apply the brush texture brush on layers and then build them up. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do it all on one layer. So it's just one layer, the background layer. So history, get rid of that. Okay, so brush settings. Go to the brush tool and I don't need shape dynamics. And instead of using A, which was I'd done in a few, obviously that earlier version there, I'm just going to use 1. So there's 1 there. Now I can just apply. So texture. That's the key thing here. Set that on, and you've got scale. And that's the key one here. All the others are pretty useful as well. But scale means you can vary, obviously, the scale of the thing. I'm not going to change any of the other settings. So brightness, and you can see down here. So I'm going to reduce that down. You can see down here you've got the preview. So you've got ones there appearing there. Now if I change it to 2, see there's 2, and then there's 3. So I'm just going to go for the ones. But you can change, like say, the brightness, and you make it virtually disappear. No, I don't want that. I want it to be about there, in the middle. And contrast, you can change that to make it disappear, but I want them to about there as well. Go with height. Now you can change the texture of each tip. I'm just going to go with that height. Control, you can keep off. And depth, I would suggest about 5 or 6%, because if you put it too far, you'll see you get this line, which you might want. I don't want that. What I want is a completely pure texture there, and that's a nice point there. And you can see the preview, so you can now apply it, and you can apply it ones. You can see your ones there. Now at this point, I'm not doing it on channels. I'm just doing it on the standard RGB. And of course, if I say go and vary it, I can go and vary it, make it 2. And I can change the colours here, of course. I can go over here and make it 2 like that. But I'm going to go with black because I'm going to use channels. So with black, with the initial scale setting, I'm going to vary it. You don't have to use it all at the same scale. So what I'm going to do now is go to the channels. Just move that down slightly, and there's the channels. Now go for red. Just select there, so you've got red. Red channel is the only one active now. The green and the blue, it's not going to be used. So now you can apply, any of them. Could apply 1, but 2. I'm going to go with 2. Also, what you can do, of course, with this, you can apply liquify or maybe blur. So you can blur it. So you've got your 2 there. Maybe apply it slightly again. So you get some that are blurred. Now, it'd be very hard to do this if you were just using them as layers with textures and things and fill layers and stuff. But here, you can actually apply and create nice blurred design there. And of course, you can always apply again and add it subtly to just around the edge. So you can create a whole red, and that's just to the red channel. So now go to the green, and of course, what you can do, you can go back and maybe go for 1, go for that one. And also you can change the scale. So you push it up to 1, make it bigger. Now, of course, you can't see the red channel at this point. You can see it if you look over there, and you can always increase the size there. You've got panel options. Go for the slightly bigger, and you can see the design sort of. If you really look close, you can see the design you're aiming for. Again, you can always apply some more effects, sort of blur it, subtly apply it that way, and you don't have to apply the whole as a one. Of course, you can just subtly click on there and just very subtle. And again, what you can do, brush settings, you can reduce it down. So you can then add some ones that are slightly different. Sadly, there's no offset feature. That would be a lovely feature. I haven't worked out how to do it. If there is a feature, I'd really love to see it. Obviously, what you could do, you could go up to layer and create it on a layer. So if you create a new layer, then you could shift the layer. That's a sort of workaround if you wanted to do that. But it's not ideal. It would be nice if the brush settings in the scale had like a shift feature. I don't see a reason why not, but however, it doesn't. So you can apply ones there, another one there. Now, of course, you can, of course, always go and change that. If you don't want to, you can always, or maybe instead of using that, I'm going to go with swatches. Again, window and swatches. Maybe use a grey. So you can just vary. You don't have to. Going to go over scale, and you can see your grey design because, of course, it's RGB, red and green and blue. So it's only going to be grey or blacks in here. You could go white as well if you want to go for that. Now, what I'm going to do next is, of course, I've been using ones. I'm going to go channel, and I'm going to go with blue. You don't have to enter anything in all of the channels. You can leave it empty if you want, or maybe fill it with something else. Fill it with a gradient, perfectly reasonable. So I'm going to fill it with the 3, since I've created 3. and I can set the size. Whoops, don't need that anymore. Get rid of that. Close that document. Just don't save. And then I can apply that. And again, I can always go back to black and vary the scale. Scale again, and you can see you get a variety of different designs there. And again, like I said, it doesn't have to be 3. I just happen to use 3. You could be using maybe custom shapes. So you've got custom shapes that look like different cat designs. Maybe you've got a cat design, you can make it hollow, and then, well, you don't even have to use the hollow feature. Maybe use 50% hollow. Up to you. Fill it 50%. It's up to, a whole range of different possibilities. So it's 3. And again, you can always go to, say, filters. Now, you don't have to use, I'm not going to use that one, but maybe pinch. You can run that. You see you've got a filter there, and you can distort it slightly. Maybe play again. Now, what you can do, once you've done that, and of course continue forever, just adding more and more letters and numbers, I can then go back to the original design, the RGB, and you can see now the result. And of course you can still go and add some. So if you want to add some actual, or any colour ones, of course, you could always go and change it to blue and add some additional there. And again, continue to vary it, maybe make it smaller. So once you've done that, what you can do then, you can go to image menu, adjustments, and maybe add like an invert. And that's how you end up with that design like that. And again, of course, you can then continue to add maybe white around the edges. So a whole variety of different colourful designs can be created using channels, brush textures, brushes, of course, swatches, etc. And of course, you can then apply effects and so on and so on. So I hope you found this tutorial of interest. Please subscribe to the Graphic Extra channel. Always have new tutorials about Photoshop, Illustrator, Critter, Painter, Affinity Designer, Affinity Photo, running through all the various tools that I go through. Please add some comments, always appreciated. It'd be nice to hear what sort of things I've done right, what things I've done wrong. What else would you like me to explore in terms of this sort of feature? Maybe channels, maybe, like say, brush textures. What sort of other areas would you like? And also a dislike or like. Thank you much.